July 16th, 2022. Guys, I want to cover a couple of things here. We've had a coronal mass ejection from the sun caused by a filament release. Now, the projected impact on our planet is on the 19th at 0000 hours. So that you break that out to about 6 hours, and you're going to be dealing with 8 p.m. on the 18th on the East Coast, 7 p.m. Central. Then you can calculate all the way across the planet from that time point. But they're basing this in UTC time. Now, the Earth is in the yellow dot. The sun is in the white center. You got satellites. You've got Mercury and Venus close to the sun. And we've got more than just this filament. We'll take a look at that. But it's also a long-lasting event. Here, 6 hours later, notice at 0600 hours on the 19th, our planet is fully involved in the CME. Now, it may not be that strong, but when we see these filament releases that spiral out like that, you have to watch these things because of earthquakes every time. So pay attention to that. You guys in Alaska, count your time down back from 8 p.m. 18th on the East Coast. Now, here's a picture of the filament before it released. See that brown line there? It says solar filament. These are large ribbons that snake across the magnetic surface or the canopy of the sun. And sometimes when one end of it comes in close contact to a solar flare or a disturbed area on the surface of the sun, guys, it will release on that end and then throw itself out in a whip-like motion, and that's where it becomes dangerous. Here's a movie of it right there. This is on the Soho images. Check this out. You see it explode, then move off to the right. What you're seeing, though, is secondary flare. They're not talking about in this article, but when you have the filament rise, it collapses. We'll look at it here in motion, and you see that there's about 3 of these releases in this images. Bottom right, the left side, and the top right, which is the one we're dealing with. Right here, we saw this one. But what happens, again, this thing releases on one end, throws a large area of plasma out, and that's what we're dealing with. But when what's left of that filament when it does not escape the sun from that blast, it falls back to the surface of the planet. It causes a Hyder flare, Hyder. Some people call it a canyon of fire. But so you've got 3 actions here: the initial burst with the photon blackouts that you see in your radio emissions, then the CME, and the result of the Hyder flare. Why is it important? Because before that happened, this had already started being talked about. Unprecedented warmth prompts first ever red extreme for the UK and much of Europe. Check this out. All-time heat records. Very warm nights. Not as hot mid to late week, but look, guys, starting now, going through into about Tuesday, this thing is going to be tough. It's going to be tough in the U.S. too, and a lot of places on the planet. But your natural gas supplies are really cut back because of their working on Nord Stream 1, the pipeline. Also, they had to shut down a bunch of nuclear plants, guys, in Europe today because the rivers were so warm that they were pulling water into the cooling towers. They couldn't dump that water back into the rivers. It would have caused a lot of problems there, probably killed a lot of fish. So they just had to shut down the nuclear plants at the same time that the LNG is cut off. But a lot of people in the UK and in Europe, they're not used to this type of heat. The 70 degree Fahrenheit during mid-July. Look at the very top line for London. And so that's fall weather here. So again, this is hitting folks that are not used to it, that do not have a lot of air conditioning. The Met Office is warning the heat wave may cause a series of problems, including the potential for power outages and the loss of essential services like water and cellular data, increased danger of water safety incidents at busy beaches, as well as delays and cancellations to rail and air travel. The mayor said to support those without houses will be forced to sleep on the streets during the heat wave. Typically, the protocol is triggered for cold conditions, but they're going to provide some heat shelter. So, again, they're used to 70-degree temperatures this time of the year, and it's going to be much hotter than that. And if you read through this, you can pause it. I'm not reading every little bit of it. But when you're talking about losing power and the possibility of that, even if you don't have air conditioning, no fans will work, your refrigeration, things like that, you're going to need to find places to be cool. It says heat waves, a deadly hazard in the U.S., are often even deadlier in Europe, where air conditioning simply does not exist. This heat wave could challenge or surpass the 2003 heat wave that enveloped Europe in record heat, killing 30,000 people both directly and indirectly. This could be worse. I hope all of my friends in Europe are paying attention to this. Here in the U.S., especially the southern half, we're used to it a lot more than you guys are, but this is going to be tough. You're going to have to find ways to stay cool, check in on the elderly and the handicapped, and look at some of the headlines. Death toll from brutal heat wave tops 350 already in Spain, July 16th today. Highs to approach 110 degrees Fahrenheit as dangerous heat intensifies in the plains. So there's a lot of people in trouble. There are no signs of Mother Nature throttling back on the heat anytime soon across the interior west of the high plains. In fact, AccuWeather meteorologists warn that the most sizzling conditions yet this summer season are expected to build next week, putting dozens of record highs in jeopardy as temperatures soar past the century mark. Guys, here, central Mississippi, we were very fortunate last night to get a good rain for the garden. It's cloudy now. We got a few sprinkles. It looks like further south down around the Hattiesburg area. You're getting a little more rain down towards the coast, so that's really helped us a lot, but a lot of folks are in a lot of trouble. There's corn in the Midwest that is not getting water right at the time it needs it the most. Monday, dangerously hot. You've got thunderstorms around this thing because of that very humid area moving up through Corpus Christi and Houston. But the dangerously hot area, again, Lubbock, you're going to be under the gun as far as the hottest, I think, on the area. This area of high pressure already in place across the west will expand eastward and strengthen early in the week. The temperatures in the region already running well above average. Guys, here we were around 114 at the peak of the heat index. With temperatures in the region already running well above average, the additional high pressure moving in will only act to increase temperatures. By Monday, triple-digit heat is expected to swelter a swath from South Dakota to Texas. Rapid City will approach their daily record of 106 Fahrenheit, set in 2006, and likely eclipse the hottest day of the year so far back on June 29th, when a high of 102 was recorded. What did I say? Lubbock, Texas. What are we seeing in Texas? See, it's in the 110 mark. Power grid problems, guys. And we do have air conditioners in the South. Now, I guess for maybe 7-8 years now, I've been talking about how important it would be to have alternative power. And a solar system, it doesn't have to be very big, but you can run a couple of 5,000 BTU ACs. You may not can do the whole home, depending on how much power you have. But in a reasonable system, $5,000 down, you can do some things. Keep a couple of deep freezers going. Keep your computers going, some fans, TV, communications charged. So I can't emphasize enough. And you're looking at this drought monitor. Look in the red areas from Dallas down to all the way to the border of Mexico. Lake Mead, they're still putting out, the outflow is still increasing more than the inflow. Inflows at 14,528 cubic feet a second, but your outflows at 15,600. So if you look at all of these last 14 measurements, the last 14 days, you can see that although they're trying to balance it between downstream, Vegas, upstream, you're at 1,041 feet. Now, a friend of ours, and I linked to his channel a few weeks back, and his name is Joy at Vegas Detect. He lives in Vegas, and he goes out and does all this reporting. Well, I'm going to link to another video, his latest one. It was, I think, yesterday or late evening the day before. But he's talking about, he's put a lot of numbers together from the University of Utah that has some pretty accurate information on the Colorado River levels. He's also looking at the problems that Vegas is going to start experiencing very quickly. Now, Vegas has that third straw, the deep one, down into the bottom. So they're the last ones that's going to get water. But at what point is the water cut off from Havasu? What point is the power cut off from Phoenix? It's 7 states involved. Again, Vegas DTEC, Joey walks through this, and he's got his paperwork with him, and he's going through detail and detail and detail. That is very, very important, I think, that you understand this if you're in these 7 states. And notice the Lake Mead update and when people should plan to leave is the title. Now, you guys went over and you subbed to him. We got him a lot of new subscribers. Do it again if you haven't. But the main part about that is go and listen to what he's saying. When is it going to be time? What water levels do you have to look for to know that you have very little time left? And he goes over things like, he's in an area there with multi-million-dollar homes he's walking through. And he's saying, now you can possibly get pretty good money for it because a lot of people are asleep about the water situation that's coming. But very soon it will be to where you can't sell anything there because people will be awake. And at what point? He mentions it. Remember, we're at 1,041. That in 41 more feet, that's a trigger to him. And I think he's talking about moving up around Oregon or Washington along the coastline there, getting his parents, elderly parents out. It's a very good video. He's got the details, things that I think you should go there and listen to him, especially if you're in the Colorado River Basin and you're depending on hydroelectricity and water, because there's going to be a mass migration. At what point, though? It's like a know when to fold them, know when to hold them situation. And not to be materialistic, but guys, if you're sitting there in one of these homes when the water's cut off, nobody's going to buy it. And so if you can get a little bit for it now, do it. Get out of the Southwest, out of the Colorado River Basin, that all of it we're talking about, Powell, Mead, Havasu. And Mexico today, or was yesterday afternoon, declared drought emergencies. Colorado River ends up down towards the Salton Sea into Mexico anyway, what the trickle is left. But things are getting dire. Go there, and I think you'll get a lot of information from this video that you're looking at. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.